Hey everybody, Melissa here again. And today I really wanted to speak to you about channeling, what it is, what it isn't, and some of the nuances. So let's see where this conversation goes, because everything I do, it comes through in a form of channeling. So what what is it? So channeling, as I said in the previous series, if you've not watched, you might want to go back and have a listen. Channeling is bringing through what is invisible, what is energetic, what is in the etheric into physical form. Now, this can be in so many different guises and situations. And I think most commonly what we know are maybe what you might call verbal channels or written channels. So those that, like I often do, is bring through an energetic through me, and the physicality are the words and the stories and the information that comes through. Same with writing. We move into an altered state of consciousness. We open up into an alternative viewpoint, and we bring through our written word or our typed words, information, wisdom, and energetics. I love this kind of channeling. For me, this kind of channeling is super informative. It brings a wisdom. It's something that is accessible to a lot of people, certainly from their audience. And I find that this is the skill that I use over and over and over again. There are other forms. We've often heard where people say that they feel like they're in the zone. And we might associate that with music. We might associate that with artists, with dancers. We might associate that with sports people. Right now, as I'm recording this, the are on, and you can often really feel, and this is one of the key differences, you can often really feel when somebody is in the zone. We've all been there, or maybe we've offered, some of us, many of us have been there, when we've been watching a dance act, or we've been watching a singer, or we've been watching a sports person, really in that state. And there's something very different. It's like we can feel that there's something different. They are not just performing their routine, they're not just singing their song, they are in the moment. And when we are in the moment, it's like there's an energetic greater than them, greater than the sum of their parts, that is coming through, and it hits us with a resonance. For me, that is a form of channeling, that we're bringing through this experience of awe, or of love, or of enlightenment. Recently, I was at a concert with Krishna Das, who sings mantra. And he was bringing through these beautiful songs and chants, and we were in this gorgeous venue in London. And after maybe 20 or 30 minutes, you could feel this energetic come in the room, and suddenly everyone got up and they were dancing and they were clapping, and the whole energy shifted. And if that is not a greater power coming through us humans, I don't know what is. It was visceral. You could feel it. We've also all heard those songs, right? Where you're like, oh, this has come from somewhere, or watch those movies or read those books, which just seem to hit at a different level. And sometimes we can think, well, this is for them. That's not for me. This is for them. It's because they're multi-talent, or they're talented in that field. And would a song come through to me? Would an interpretive dance come through me? Even though I'm open to channel, maybe not. And what's that about? Because I think that we all have our strengths, and we all have our personalities, and we all have our resonance. And when we're talking about channeling, that's no different. And I think it's going to be more likely that a singer is going to bring through a song, or that a writer is going to bring through a story, or that I don't know, a diver is going to bring through that certain move. Like, it kind of makes sense that somebody who is primed and prepped, who their physical body and their energetic body and their traits and the nuances of who they are going to, through the law of resonance, bring through something that makes sense for them. Plus, if you think about this from a universal concept, they're the ones that are going to make the most use of it. Like, to bring through a song that has an energetic frequency that has the potential to change the minds of the audience, like, it does make more sense that is going to go through to somebody that can actually do something with this rather than me. So there's certainly, okay, so it's certainly a relationship. It's no longer for me the case for the majority that we leave our minds and that we are out of it and that it's fully, I think this can happen. And I think if we allow this to happen, we can entice it and encourage it to happen. But for me, that feels less of the norm now. I think we're moving into something that bridges this gap, that brings this coherence between spirit and human. So channeling isn't just bringing through the energy of your angels and your guides and your star beings. It can also be a form of art, a form of expression, a form of creation. It can even be inventions and ideas. And we've seen this time and time again through history. We've seen with the likes of the telephone and the motor car and the first flight, that this has often come through moments of inspiration. And again, it's come through people who are primed to be able to actually make these things manifest, which I think super interesting, which goes on to a whole nother subject of purpose and why we're here and knowing ourselves, which will probably be a conversation for another day. But we also have other forms of channeling. So for me, my first experience of channeling was actually through Reiki. And Reiki is a Japanese healing practice, which through attunement, which is passed down from master to student, through attunement, it opens it up, it tunes you in, quite literally, tunes you in to a healing frequency that then allows me as the attuned to bring the energy through me and for it to come out through my hands or through my words or through my breath, or even, this blew my mind, or even through intention. Because with systems like Reiki, we can do distance healing, do distance practice. And for that, it's my attention and my focus going through the quantum field and reaching the intended client or those that are here to receive it, place, person, space. And we also hear for channeling of light language. I remember having a light language session once, and I had no idea. I'd know she was like, I really just feel that this could be something you could do. We just connected, and I was having this healing with her, and then suddenly this light language just came through, and I had no idea what she was saying, but I was having visualizations. I was having like a story running through my mind, and I could feel aspects in my body. And I mean, this was some years ago, and I must admit I was a bit like, maybe that's light language. I was a bit like, okay, this is a bit odd. But I could definitely feel something. Now, I have since channeled light language, and it came completely by surprise during a healing session that I was having with my Shaolin healer. And it was really bizarre, and I couldn't stop it. But for me and who I am, because I am quite intellectual, like I like to know things, I like things to make sense, I was always very cynical before I came into this world, and I still have some of that cynicism within me. But for me, it makes sense that for me channeling comes through words, comes through answering questions, some comes through making sense, and even comes through in that physical, through hands-on healing, because that is my background. So what's the point? Like, what's the point of channeling? Because if it's true that we can open up into our human minds and our human fields into this wider energetic, what's the point? There's so many points. So I remember some years ago contemplating, this is where my brain goes, but contemplating, where do our thoughts come from? Like, where do our thought, where do they come from? You know, I'd heard all of these change your thoughts, change your life. And then I realized quite how difficult, once I started paying attention to my thoughts, quite how difficult it is to actually change our thoughts. Now, there's a lot to speak about here. Naturally, we are wired to look to tune into fear, to tune into some of the heavy energies, you know, because for survival, to make sure that we are safe. So that kind of makes sense. And we've all had it where we've experienced being in a room, being in a situation, and that kind of fear pops up, or we pick up on somebody else feeling scared, and then we see this multiply and exasperate on itself. And so I think part of that, our thoughts come from that. They come from the collective. I think also part of that, our thoughts come from routine, what we're used to, the neural pathways in our brain, what they're used to thinking. I think also our thoughts come from our body, our physical sensations of what it is that's going on, of what's just happened, and from the people, the dominance of the people around us. And so generally, I think by default, that's where our thoughts come from. But when I start to contemplate conscious channeling, that actually when we are just by default, we're probably still channeling something a lot of the time. Maybe we're channeling the energy of fear. Maybe we're channeling the energy of scarcity. Maybe we're channeling the energy of the collective unconscious. Maybe we're channeling the thoughts and the programs and the behaviors of our parents, our ancestors, our lineage some of the time. But when we become conscious, it's not like we're turning that part of us off, but we're inviting in another space. We're inviting in, for example, the higher version of us. And that's my preference. My preference for me is to invite in my higher self or my soul. And sometimes my guidance team and my angelics, like they're my preferences, because for me they're here for me, and as I develop that relationship, that seems to make sense for me. So why am I doing that? Because if my default is to go through fear and lack and scarcity and you know, safety through the lens of safety, that's how my decisions are going to be made, that's how I'm going to act, that's what I'm going to be looking for. And the law of attraction does state that what we put our focus on is what we receive. And I do believe that to be true. So when I invite in a higher mind just to be with me through the day, it makes a real difference to what it is that I'm focusing on. And that in turn changes my thoughts and what it is that, you know, the dominant thing that I'm thinking, or at least it invites in a broader range of thoughts, a higher range of thoughts, which in turn affects my emotions, which in turn affects my energy body, which in turn affects my actions, which in turn affects then what I do and therefore what comes to me. And as I'm increasing the quality, if you like, of both my thoughts and my emotions and my physical body, I'm increasing the quality of my energy body. And as I'm increasing the quality of my energy body, then I'm becoming more open to higher thought and wisdom. So then when I want to come into what maybe you're here and listening to about channeling about, when it is that I'm like, well, I've got this thing going on and I want to receive the answer from this higher self, from this angel, from this guide, from this guru. Or I want to be there on stage and or on my own YouTube channel or with my clients and bring through this energy, just like the likes of Paul Selig or Lee Harris does, and bring through this energy. And I really, really want to do that. If you practice this through your day, you're going to be, if you like, closer or more tuned in, or it's not going to be such a jump. And so therefore your physical body, your energetic body, your mental, your emotional body are all going to be more primed. And so it's going to be easier for you to bring that through. So perhaps some of you are listening to this thinking, but I just want to do that. I just want to channel the thing and I want to have the council of beings coming through me. And I want to be able to trust that and do it at a drop of the hat. And why are you talking about what we do every day? Because this is the work. We bring it through our everyday, we are going to have clearer access to this. And we're going to start embodying some of the guidance that comes through before we even start. And it's when we embody the things that come through that we are going to be more likely to receive more information, because again, it enhances our energetics, and because again, it means that the beings, the frequency, the energetic then are matched to you more, and they know, if you like, that you're more likely to bring this information through. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're just going to receive it, like, let's be honest, if you're just going to receive it and not do anything with it, then is there any point? That, like, why would they? Be like you being a friend and them telling you stuff and you're just completely ignoring them, and like you're gonna give up at some point, right? So I think part of this is this embodiment of what it is that we're receiving and what it is that we're doing. So what I'd really love for you to start to consider now is, what kind of channel do you feel intuitively that you are or you would like to be? Is it that you would like to be a verbal channel, like somebody who brings through an energetic and starts to speak through the words of the galactics, for example? A written channel, so this is through, maybe you will write a book. This I believe was how Esther Hicks started. She and A Course in Miracles was written this way. Oh my God, I forget her name. But she was told, this is A Course in Miracles, take note. And she started writing. She didn't believe in any of this stuff until she received this incredible book that's helping many spiritual teachers nowadays. So is that your preference? Or maybe you're an artist and you want to bring through this energetic onto paper in the form of art, color, pictures, sculptures, creative, physical, you know. I'm going all dreamy now, because I would love to do that, but that isn't where my talent is. Is it that you would like to use this through song and through music and through dance and through body expression? Or maybe for you, this is you would like to use this more as your business tool. I've got some really cool techniques and tips that we use, which is the same technique. It's the same skill set to be able to use this through your business to connect with your clients, to connect with your next offer, to connect with abundance and all of this stuff. So like, this is really cool as well. So I really love for you to think about, what is it that, how you feel your channeling would be most useful to you and to the world, and drop that in the Telegram group. I would absolutely love to hear. The Telegram group is Conscious Channeling. I'd love to hear what that is for you. And I think the most important thing is have fun with it and be responsible. Like, so first of all, we do need to have fun with it because our energy needs to be high. And I think that again, nowadays, this will just really help us normalize what channeling is and give us that access to it. But also be responsible with it. Why is it that you want to bring this energy through? What difference is it going to make to you in your life? And can you commit that the information that you receive that you will take on board? Again, I give that caveat. Our channel is not ever meant to tell us what to do. You are the sovereign being and you're the one in control, and you're the one taking advice, and it's you that comes first. But how are we going to take the wisdom and the information that we receive in order to bring more of who we are and what we can become and our potential? So I would love to hear. I hope you've enjoyed. And I'd love to know what aha moments you've had, what perspective change you've had, and what you've taken from this. So let us know in the comments, and I will see you on the next episode of the Conscious Channel. Bye for now.